Vertical learning is kind of the structured, sit down, read a book, find out about it, see pictures, and then that horizontal learning is a little more free-flowing, organic, kind of tactile learning about things by doing them. And so like you have that urban ecology center where you go and do the maple syrup festival that they have, and you find out about all these kind of trees, and so you like really get into trees, and then you can go over to the library that's like right across the street and find out all these books about trees, you know, from their, you know, huge stacks that they have and all their information. And so it's that transition between you finding out something, getting excited about learning, and then actively participating in that learning that, you know, can really make, you know, education awesome and knowledge acquisition awesome, and that kind of network of information. And so that's kind of the cool thing that you can do. And with them being so close to each other, it just makes it so easily accessible. I mean, they're like literally across the street from each other, and so it's so easy to do. And it's something that the community could really capitalize on. It's pretty awesome.
So to boil it down, vertical learning, classroom, horizontal, kind of outdoors.
Yeah, basically.
More along those.
I think it's nice how, because they're so related, I like how it can flow in either direction. Say you're at the library and you have a book about trees, and yeah, you just experience those trees, but then you learn about leaf structure, and you're like, oh, I didn't notice that the first time. Like, I want to go back, and now I want to pick up a leaf. Like, I want to further explore this. And so it's like having this opportunity where these two things are so close to each other. It really lends itself to experiencing something, learning about it, and then that learning then making you more interested to go and discover something else about it.
Yeah, real back and forth.
Yeah,
the reciprocating kind of learning between the interplay.
Yeah, and I think that's where it brings in the excitement. You know, like you were saying, the excitement of learning. It's like, well, I saw this, and oh wait, now there's this. All right, now I got to go back and check it out. You know, and it's a back and forth. It's a communication, you know, between the vertical and the horizontal that really gets the involvement of what you're trying to achieve.
That the dialogue between the locations that's been going on for a long time, since it started. That specific location of the library, the specific location of the park, something about that dialogue that is happening has really played into, I guess, the Washington Park neighborhood as a whole. It's been really, really an important and fundamental location in the neighborhood.
Well, and that location, that intersection is really important for the park as well, because coming south and west and east on all those main streets, that's actually the first time you see the park coming from those locations. So it's kind of like a threshold gateway into the park and that northern edge of the park, as well as they have the statue there, von Steuben. So, yeah, right? And so it creates kind of like a landmark that really like anchors it in this kind of identifiable location. And I think they named the corner after, right? It's like Steuben Square, right?
Square. Yeah.
And so, you know, it anchors it into the past with all that kind of history, as well as, you know, leads it into the park, which is still, you know, thriving, and they're doing a lot of stuff there now, you know, so it kind of is that bridging connection between the past and the future that's kind of interesting.
It's almost like that park has been the transition between a very public realm, which is the park, and then into a more private, like a semi-private realm. And it's a transition point between horizontal learning and vertical learning, between the public realm and the private realm. It's that launching point. I think that's why it's been so important. But people go to see a concert once the band shell went up, and then they'd go and get a beer at Pabst Pavilion Beer Hall.
Or a soda.
A soda.
At times, a soda.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest parts about it is proximity. You know, that park is right in the middle, and it's got all these different places to go around it.
Yeah.
People lose interest pretty quickly, so if they have a small window of time to learn about something, get excited, and go immediately after that to the place that they want to go to, it gives them a great opportunity to actually make it there.
That's really, I mean, I guess that's why it would be so important for the library to be in that location. Like that conversation between the Urban Ecology Center and the library, when we were talking with the directors of both, they each talked about each other as being intrinsically connected. And that proximity is really, really important. Because you can't, I mean, when there's so many other things to do, having something to do right then, like that could be the best possible solution.
So we've kind of been building up scales. You could even pull it back one more. So we had the kind of corner interconnection, and then we pulled it back to the community. You could even pull it back to the scale of Milwaukee, where we have all the different library branches and then all the different urban ecology branches and how they kind of interplay with those. And it kind of relates back to our asset mapping that we did. And you see these kind of learning corridors that happen where between the library and an urban ecology center outlet, you have so many more sites of learning and kind of opportunities to learn between those two versus the areas that don't have access to those. It's kind of lacking or not as prevalent, so you know, pulling it back to the scale of Milwaukee, even you have these kind of learning opportunities that happen within that interplay between the Urban Ecology Center and the library. So it's kind of interesting that different scales you can pull it back, you still get that learning opportunity and that educational growth that you can have.
And the horizontal and the vertical.
Right, exactly.
So really just getting those areas of overlap it would be one of the most important things, is trying to increase that density. And you get the reach of each one of the urban ecology centers mixed in with the reach of each one of the libraries or schools, whatever it happens to be. But you have like these primary sources of learning, which are generally vertical. Like schools tend to be regimented; they tend to be timed.
Definitely.
And then you need those areas to then have that secondary source. That secondary source is really important, which would be, the horizontal learning, that social learning that happens, the interactive learning, the communicative learning. Like those things are, I guess increasing that density would be really important for Milwaukee and Washington Park.
My name is Dan Kentowski. I am the branch manager of the Washington Park Library, which is part of the neighborhood library system of the Milwaukee Public Library. Because of this location, we're on Sherman Boulevard and Lloyd, which the freeway has a ramp right there where it ends on Lisbon. So this is a major thoroughfare for people going to and from work and just going into the inner city, uptown in Milwaukee. So it serves a lot of people besides just the neighborhood. The focus is mainly on, we have a lot of children's programs, and literacy is, it's from the mayor's office down through the library administration have put a real emphasis on literacy. And I think literacy can mean not just reading, but computer literacy, and employment is a lot easier if you can fill out a job application, use computer skills to understand how you're filling out, every website is different. There's a lot of different things that literacy can mean. If you get kids to read and use computers at a younger age, they're going to develop into lifelong learning residents. I think that this neighborhood is one that is in transition. I think there's a rebirth going on here where, as people come and go, I think people are deciding, hey, this is a kind of a nice neighborhood, and they're deciding to stay. This neighborhood is economically challenged, overall. And some of the people who live here, this is the only place that they have that is going to have internet access, that is going to have someone who's willing to help them do basic or extensive, research for free. I think everything starts, learning, literacy, jobs, everything starts from being safe and having a sense of security and being able to exchange ideas without fear of retaliation or rebuke. And we strive to make this a place that ideas are, welcome.
My name is Willie Caritas, and I'm the branch manager here at the Urban Ecology Center. The Urban Ecology Center has been here since 2007. Basically, we work from a 2-mile radius, so Washington Park is our center, and we work within a 2-mile radius, and those really become our partner schools. Within 2 miles, there's approximately 83 different schools. So we attempt to reach out to those schools and partner with them and invite them to come in and bring their kids on field trips through our neighborhood environmental education project. Also, after school, so we have an after school program called the Young Scientists Club. And the Young Scientists Club is from 5 to 13 years old, and we have a whole staff of community program educators who do programs with the kids after school. I think what the Urban Ecology Center has done and really embraced is that they've embraced nature and nature play and discovery of nature, environmental education. They brought that to the urban neighborhoods. And that's missing. It's intentional. The Urban Ecology Center is intentional about connecting people to nature. That's a powerful thing. It's a really important thing. Why? Because that's missing in a lot of people's lives. So if you're intentional about it, then you get results, because we all come from nature at one point. We might be pretty far removed from it, but you might have that desire, you probably have that desire inside to connect, to reconnect. And if you haven't done it before, all of a sudden you start getting comfortable with it, and then it becomes part of you, because I think it's part of who all of us are. Now, if you live in a wild place, if you come from a wild place, that's second nature to you. But if you're in an urban area, sometimes you have to have somebody open up the door and let you in. And then, you know, there's all kinds of possibilities for you.
The basic gist for this project, for me at least, is it's about the people. I mean, the class is Architecture 302, Architecture and Human Behavior, so they're kind of intrinsically built within another. But more so, it's about the people of Washington Park and the whole community. And at least our aspect of it is that education, which, I mean, is such an important part of everyone's life that we feel that it should be just kind of basic nature that people can have access to this. And so our idea is, how can we create that space between the spaces of the vertical and horizontal learning that can truly foster education and understanding, and not just knowing the things, but actually like living and being a part of that education and that investment in your own education. And that's the ideas that we want to instill into the community of Washington Park and hopefully spread to all of Milwaukee.
The most important thing to me about the project was being able to provide these spaces and areas for knowledge acquisition without forcing anyone into a situation that they feel uncomfortable in. They want to be able to experience these learning areas carefree. If they go somewhere and they feel uncomfortable, they're not going to have the same experience that they would have if they went in there feeling pressured and judged by the people around them. If it's a safe environment, everyone's going to come out on top.
I think what this project really kind of meant to me is, you know, we looked at the vertical and the horizontal learning, and the two places that really set up this deep communication for this area that we looked at and what we concentrated our focus on. But I don't think it's necessarily the places, not necessarily the people, but a type of program that can be set up and executed not only in this neighborhood, but also other neighborhoods. You know, once the learning has occurred, to like our focus right now, once they have learned this system that we're trying to set up in this development in this process, then they can take this to their next community and start it there. And it's really kind of just a growth of the social understanding of how we learn and how learning is changing.
How do you get someone to care? How do you get someone to want to change? How do you get someone to understand that change is necessary? Is it our place to actually decide if someone needs to change, if an environment needs to change? I don't think so. I think the main thing that we need to do is provide a space, to provide an environment for people to decide that for themselves. It's not about creating a space that's going to change a neighborhood. It's not about introducing the possibility of change. It's not about a manifesto. It's about providing space for an individual to decide that they want to do something for themselves. It's about providing a space for a neighborhood that is interested in the possibility of a future. It's about creating a transitional space that provides opportunity. I think that's what we're getting at, and I think that's our next step for this project.